Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video.
I had been married to my wife for 5 years and we had a pretty good life together. We lived in a cozy apartment, had stable jobs, and enjoyed spending time together on the weekends. But my wife had been complaining about being bored lately. She had quit her job a few months ago to pursue a passion project, but it wasn't going as well as she had hoped. She was starting to feel restless and wanted something more to do during the day. That's when I came up with the idea to get her a job at my workplace. I was the manager of a small marketing firm, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for her to meet new people and keep herself occupied during the day. At first, everything seemed to be going well. My wife was excited to start her new job, and I was happy to have her working with me. But things quickly took a turn for the worse. As soon as my wife started working, I noticed a change in her behavior. She became distant and started spending more time with her new colleagues than with me. She would come home late and barely talk to me about her day. I started to feel like something was wrong, but every time I tried to bring it up, she would brush me off and say that everything was fine. I tried to be understanding and give her space, but as the days went by, she became more and more distant. She stopped calling or texting me during the day and would often go out with her colleagues after work without telling me. I started to feel like something was wrong, but every time I tried to bring it up, she would brush me off and say that everything was fine. She would tell me that she was just busy with work and that she needed to focus on her job. But I knew that something wasn't right. My wife had always been open and honest with me, and this sudden change in her behavior was making me worried. One day, I decided to surprise her at work with lunch. I thought it would be a nice way to show her that I supported her new job and wanted to be a part of her life. But when I arrived at her floor, I was surprised to see her laughing and chatting with her male colleagues. She barely acknowledged me and seemed more interested in talking to them than to me. I felt a pang of jealousy and insecurity. Was she hiding something from me? Was she interested in one of her colleagues? I tried to push these thoughts out of my mind and focus on enjoying lunch with my wife, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. As the days went by, my wife's behavior became more and more erratic. She would cancel plans with me at the last minute, stay out late without telling me, and avoid spending time with me altogether. I felt like I was losing my wife, and I didn't know what to do to get her back. One day, my wife came home from work and told me that she wanted a break from our marriage. She said that she was unhappy with our life together and that she needed some time to figure things out. I was stunned. I had no idea that she was feeling this way, and the news hit me like a ton of bricks. I tried to keep my voice steady and asked her what she meant by wanting a break. She avoided my gaze and said that she just needed some time to figure things out. I pressed on and asked her, "What things? What's wrong?" I felt a sense of panic rising in my chest. She told me that she felt like our life together was lacking. She was choosing her words carefully. She continued by saying that she needed to figure out what she wanted and what made her happy. I was feeling desperate at this point. I told her we could work on that together. I questioned her, "Can't we?" She finally looked at me and replied that she didn't know if that was possible. "I just need some space to figure things out. Please understand." I felt like my world was crumbling around me. My wife, the person I loved more than anything in the world, was asking for a break from our marriage? I couldn't believe it. We talked for a while longer, but it was clear that she had made up her mind. She needed some time to herself, and I couldn't do anything to change her mind. After she went to bed, I sat alone in the living room, feeling lost and alone. I didn't know what to do next. How could I live without my wife? How could I go on knowing that she didn't want to be with me anymore? The next day, my wife packed her things and moved out of our apartment. She said she was staying with a friend for a while, but she didn't say who it was or where they were staying. I tried calling her, but she didn't answer. I sent her text messages, but she didn't respond. It was like she had disappeared off the face of the earth. She didn't even show up at work. I felt like I was going crazy. I couldn't eat and I couldn't sleep. All I could think about was my wife and what she was doing. A few days later, I got a call from one of my colleagues at work. He told me that my wife had been seen with another man at a bar near our office. I couldn't believe it. My wife was cheating on me. How could she do this to me? At that moment, I felt a surge of anger and hurt wash over me, but there was nothing I could do about it. I didn't want to think the worst of her, but later I found out that my wife had been having an affair with her boss. I was heartbroken and furious at the same time. I couldn't believe that she had betrayed me in such a way. I sat in my office the next day still reeling from the news about my wife's affair. That's when I got a call from HR. They told me that my wife's boss had been caught stealing confidential information from the company and that my wife was an accessory to the crime. I was shocked and angry all over again. I was going to fire them anyway, but how could my wife have been so foolish as to risk her job and our marriage for some cheap thrill with her boss? As I listened to the HR representative on the phone, I realized that I had a unique opportunity to get some justice for what my wife had done to me. I decided to press charges against her boss and my wife and have them both fired from the company. I took a deep breath and made my way to the conference room where the HR representative was waiting for me. I walked in and saw my wife sitting there with her boss. They both looked up at me, surprised to see me there. They looked nervous and uncomfortable, like they knew they had done something wrong, which they had. I wasted no time getting straight to the point. I told them that I knew everything, that they had been caught stealing information, and that I was the one running the company. My wife's face turned white with shock and embarrassment. She had no idea that her husband was the one who had been in charge of the entire company this whole time. They were surprised to hear this, as my wife had been bragging about her higher-up boss and his power and influence. She had been using her affair with her boss to boost her status and make herself feel better about her life. But now she realized that she had been living in a sad bubble of lies and deceit, and I was very satisfied to burst it. As I pressed charges against them and fired them both on the spot, my wife sat there mortified at her foolishness. She had left her loyal and hard-working husband for a man who was a thief and a cheat. She had given up everything for him, including her marriage and her job, and now she had nothing. I watched with satisfaction as my wife and her affair partner were escorted out of the building by security. It was a bitter moment, but one that gave me a sense of closure. Update 1. A few days after the incident at the office, I received a knock on my door. It was my wife, looking haggard and desperate. She begged me to drop the charges against her and her former boss and to take her back. I listened to her pleas, but I knew deep down that I couldn't forgive her for what she had done. She had betrayed my trust and shattered our marriage. Despite her tears and apologies, I stood firm and refused to take her back. As she continued to plead with me, I thought about all the times I had tried to talk to her about our relationship, but she had always brushed me off. Now, when she was the one in need, she expected me to forgive her and take her back without question. I told her that I couldn't be with someone who had cheated on me and put our marriage in jeopardy. Her actions had consequences and she needed to face them. As she left my house in tears, I couldn't help but think about how different things could have been if she had just been honest with me from the beginning. She had never been interested in my work before and had only cared about our financial stability. But now it was too late. The damage had been done and our marriage was irreparably broken. NTA, if you've been married for 5 years and still don't know what your husband does, then that's on you. The fact that OP's wife had never been interested in his work before and didn't know his actual position only shows that she didn't care about him as a person. She was more interested in the stability he provided and took advantage of him. NTA, kick her out. Don't give her a penny when you divorce. Infidelity is one thing, but being an accessory to theft? Is she okay in the head? Talk about having an identity crisis in the worst way possible. Next story. Me, 21, female. and my brother, 23, male, and his girlfriend, 19, female, were all going out of state for another brother of ours' wedding. Keep in mind through this, his girlfriend has a tendency to treat me like a child. When it came time for the wedding rehearsal, everyone was having a great time. We were reuniting with family we haven't seen in a while, and it was all around a fun night until my brother's girlfriend got bored. We had only been there for roughly 2 hours when she made my brother tell everyone at our party we had to leave. We rode together in an SUV with multiple rows of seats. Me and my two sisters, both 30, they're twins, were very unhappy because we were having a great time. Now, let's jump to the wedding. During the wedding photos, my brother's girlfriend was included in some of them. But then the photographer asked for only spouses of the siblings to stay in the photos. My sister, who brought her boyfriend of 2 years without hesitation, removed himself from the pictures with no issue. I looked at my brother's girlfriend and asked her to step out, and she gave me the nastiest look. After the pictures were complete, I was having a conversation with my sisters, not even about the photo situation, which my sisters also found it disrespectful, and she yelled across the venue, "It's not even a big deal, Madison!" I tried to nicely explain to her that it is not her wedding or her wedding pictures, and it's not her family, so she had no right to decide if it's a big deal or not. Keep in mind, she's been with my brother for around 3 months at this time. She continues to say I'm in the wrong, so I finally told her to just not talk to me because I didn't want to argue during my brother's special day. Well, during the dinner at the venue, my brother, the one with the girlfriend, gets mad at me saying his girlfriend is crying because I was mean to her and that I should apologize. I told him absolutely not, because his girlfriend should show some respect. Well, fast forward to the drive home from the wedding, and her and my brother are arguing in the car over a trip they were going on later in the year, and I'm forced to just listen sitting in the back for 6 hours. Finally, I had enough, and I snapped and said, "Can you not argue when me and my parents are right here? We don't want to listen to that." She then says that it was a very important conversation that had to be discussed, and I told her, "I don't give a frick," word. I know this was kind of harsh, but listening to people continuously argue for a long time is a little maddening. She then cried again because I upset her. This all happened a few months ago, and my brother is still mad at me, saying I should apologize to her. But when I tried talking to her about it and make amends, she claims she believes she did nothing wrong the entire trip. I don't believe I should apologize when she was the one to be disrespectful and childish the entire trip. So, AITA? NTA, and this is why others refuse to invite non-serious, non-married relationship partners to weddings, because people like her give them a bad name. Your brother also sucks for damping the wedding and your family by allowing her to misbehave this way. NTA. Wow, the goal. I wouldn't even have put myself forward to be in the professional pictures after 3 months. That's way too short to tell if you're going to be some random decades later when they're looking at them. Although there's always the possibility you might be endgame, I certainly wouldn't have the nerve to refuse to step back for some of them, even if I were invited for 1 or 2. My sympathies if she ends up being in for the long haul. You're going to have your hands full. Next story. I, 16, female, do my makeup in the morning because it's something that forces me out of bed. My brother, 12, male, prefers to shower in the morning. This morning I was in our shared bathroom doing my makeup when he blew up at me saying, "My hygiene is more important than your looks." I don't think he meant to hurt me, but I fired back telling him if he cared so much, maybe he could take a shower at night. He refused and said that he would attract germs to his bed. I offered to help him change his sheets every week so he didn't feel grimy, but he said he had to shower in the morning so he could go to school. The second part of this is my brother taking a shower every single morning wastes time. He refuses to set an alarm, so I end up waking him up when I wake up. There's about 20 minutes of time while I get dressed and brush my hair and wake up that he could have time to shower, but he's still sleeping during that time. On top of all this, my father and I are still making his lunch. He knows how to make his lunch. He just takes a shower and ends up late for his bus, so he cries because he doesn't have his lunch and he's going to starve. I've tried to explain that there's an hour between when he wakes up and he's supposed to be completely ready. I take up maybe 20 minutes in that hour. I also explained that bathing every day can dry your skin out, so he could do it every other day, and he freaked out, telling me if I do that, I'm disgusting. We have a lot of life stuff going on right now, like my mother recently walking out on us and only seeing us every few months, so my dad says that my brother is processing in his own way. I know I should be patient with him, but he's been driving me crazy. I care about him a lot, but it seems like he doesn't understand. Should I be more patient? AITA? Edits for clarification. I can't do my makeup in my room because it's an old house and the lighting is atrocious. I can't see what I'm doing. My family doesn't have the room or money for a makeup light. My mother has been draining our savings. If my brother woke up when he was supposed to, his shower wouldn't be making all of us late. We have to wait for him because sometimes his bus doesn't arrive on time or he doesn't feel like going to school. I also just stay in the bathroom. I don't literally force him out. As much as we drive each other crazy, we respect each other's boundaries. I have a pretty standard morning schedule that I've told him about and explained when he could shower in the morning. He could also use my dad's shower when he finishes showering. I wake up at 6 when we're supposed to wake up. My brother sleeps on the first floor and I sleep on the second. He's supposed to be up by 6 as well, as his school starts before mine. I get dressed and do my hair, which I finish by around 6:20, 6:30. Then I go downstairs and turn on his light, get screamed at for waking him up too late, and leave to do my makeup. At this point, my father is usually done or almost done with his shower, so my brother could use his shower, but won't because his room isn't close to my dad's bathroom and he doesn't want to bring his clothes in the bathroom to change. He generally showers around 6:40 and then takes forever and finishes getting ready at around 7:10. His bus arrives at 7:15. He still has to eat breakfast and make his lunch in these 5 minutes. Last, I know the makeup thing sounds dumb, but it's my form of self-care. I struggle with depression and it's how I stay on schedule, and it's how I feel good about myself. It forces me to put on an outfit and not go to school in what I wore to bed. I'm also neurodivergent, so having a light schedule is really good for me. If I don't, I become disorganized and sloppy. I'm going to go with the light YTA. I think the easiest solution is to get a lighted makeup mirror from the drugstore and do your makeup in your room. It's better anyway. The humidity in the bathroom can encourage more faster bacterial growth on your cosmetics. This is what I did as a kid in a poorly lit house. That way, you get your self-care time and so does he. Showering every day can dry out your skin if you have hard water, highly chlorinated water, or just use a harsh soap. But I will say he's entering puberty, and when I was a kid, a shower right before school was the only way to stave off being an oily swamp monster until the last class of the day. Showering at night would have made me an anxious, self-conscious mess during the day. Showering less than once per day? Yeesh. You guys are dealing with a lot right now, and that's probably contributing to everyone's combative behavior. But if you guys can manage to reset on attitudes and focus on helping one another, it will go a long way for both of you. On lunches, help him with his lunch, but make him do it with you. Show him how to put together a balanced meal and not just a lunchbox full of junk food, LOL. I'm sorry you're in the situation you're in, but good luck, and I hope you guys can come together through it all. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.